good morning, or good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. My name's Ione Butler, and today I'm really excited to be speaking to the lovely Lena, which has a beautiful ring to it. Neda is the founder of Rise Up For You, and I am going to be speaking at one of her big events in November, the Empowered Women Rise conference. And so, yes, without further ado, welcome,
Thank
Neda.
you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I like to start these interviews by asking people just to share a bit about yourself, your story, and what you do, whatever you care to share.
Okay. Well, I'll try to sum it up in a couple minutes. So I used to be a performer, so we have that in common.
Right.
And I used to tour around the world as a singer and share my message through my voice. And one of the things that I noticed when I was performing is a lot of women that were on the cast with me would constantly sabotage themselves. So something really interesting is that I was always what we call the center stage singer, which if you're familiar with the performing arts, like center stage is the prime spot, but I was never the best singer in the group. There was always women that were way better technically. They had a better tone quality, better timbre, and yet I always had that spot. And so many of them would come up to me and ask me, how do I get that spot? How do I be that center stage singer? And the answer was really simple. It's like everything that you have is already inside of you. You just have to believe it. And that's really where so much of what I'm doing today spawned from, is understanding that so many of us are getting in our own way because of our thoughts and our beliefs and the things that we've gone through in our past that are still affecting us today. Sometimes on a very subconscious level, like we don't even know that it's happening. After I got done performing, I moved back to California and I became an executive. I was leading 150 people, and I saw the same thing happening in the professional world. And I was more naive at that time. I didn't think that it was happening. I thought that that was only occurring in the performing world. As you know, it's very competitive. You're always auditioning. It's, there's a comparing game.
Oh, yeah. But
I saw that in the corporate world, I'm working with women that are 25, 35, 45, 55 years old, and they're going through the same thing. They're sabotaging themselves and their success. They're getting in the way of their own achievements. They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to take risk. And they're not fully living. They're not showing up at 100%. And as we know now, with everything that's happening in the world, we need women to show up at 100% and put their best foot forward and show up with full power. And that was really disheartening to me. And it's something that I didn't fully understand, to be honest with you, because I came from a very uplifting environment. And it wasn't until I had that personal journey myself. At 27 years old, I was making incredible money. I had a home on the lake, brand new luxury car, all those things. And within 2 weeks, I lost all of it. So job, car, my heart was broken. Everything that I had as a professional woman fell to the floor, and I had 3 luggage and $100 in my account. And long story short, I got married, and within 2.5 weeks, we were on our way to divorce, and I lost everything. And that's when I realized that it's not that we don't have what it takes, it's that somewhere along the line, we have gone through something or multiple things that have affected us that are getting in the way today.
Oh, yeah.
And we've started to believe them, right? So we hear so many different things from people, positive and negative. And as we grow up and as we get older, those beliefs start to become our own when they originally were not. And now we're leading our life according to that. And that was the first time that I really understood, this idea of empowering yourself, being able to let go of some of the things that we've come to in our life that are affecting where we are today. And from that, I came back, and that's where my current company comes from, Rise Up For You. Because I realized that everybody in their life has ups and downs, and nobody's going to be able to help you get through that except for yourself at the end of the day, which is why Rise Up For You was created, to help empower women to become their best self, to educate them, and to connect them with global influencers.
I love it. I love it. And it's such a great title. I love things that sort of just say what it is. As you can guess with uplifting content. What's that?
Exactly.
What do you think it is? Interesting that you say, I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of doubting ourselves. And I've taken a couple year break from acting because I felt like I wasn't doing very well, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't happy with what I was seeing through my projects. And so I kind of, that became a belief. You're not good enough. You're not very good.
Exactly.
And I've taken this time off and I've been doing other things and growing the business, and my heart is so much in it. And I get slowly, I've been doing little projects here and there and just remembering and seeing the fact that when I take that pressure off myself, that judgment away, I'm great. And I just get up there and do it, which reminds me of you being the center stage singer, just like standing there proud, owning it, singing it, loving it, without that just beating yourself up every minute of it, which is what I was doing before. So, and I think a lot of people can relate to doing that in some way.
And that's a really important point, is so many of us do that, is that we don't seize the moment because we don't feel like we're good enough, or we suffer from the perfectionist mindset, or we don't feel like we're going to be able to deliver. But that is part of the process, is being able to accept and understand that it's not going to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. You just have to have that mindset that it's okay if I make a mistake, and I'll learn from it and I'll move forward. And that is really a key part to building your success, moving forward, being able to achieve. I mean, just like you said, once you took the pressure off that I don't have to be perfect all the time, then you're creating, and I mean, everything is starting to come to fruition on a whole new level.
It is. Yeah, definitely once that pressure's off, because now I go into an audition and it's like, I don't need this. I've got other things that are going on, and I don't need it, not in the way that I don't care about it, but it's not that desperation energy anymore. Right. It's like, I do this because I love this and it's fun, and no pressure. Right. They're just reading just hello to everyone that's on the call. If you've got any questions for us, please share. Yes. I should have gone. I had a question based on what you were going to say, what you said there. So you said it's shifting that mindset. Do you have because it's easier said than done, I think, for some people.
So true.
And so what are your some of your techniques or go-tos or ways that we can kind of shift out of that limiting belief mindset to empowered one?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you brought this up, because as I was driving here, I was thinking about emotional intelligence and how so many of us are in the personal development world. And we all have many people in our lives that are reading all day long, and they're going to every single conference, and they're really trying to work on themselves, but there really isn't a shift that's happening. Right. It happens a lot. There's no change that is occurring. And I think the thing is to really understand and have a full concept of emotional intelligence, which is a big term. There's a lot that goes with that, right? The first two quadrants of emotional intelligence are self-awareness and self-management. Under self-awareness is self-esteem, confidence, a self-acceptance. Obviously, under self-management, it's being able to now control them, being able to figure out what is the trigger and why did this emotion pop up. And I think that in order for us to move past some of these beliefs, we really have to do that work. And the important thing to understand is that it does not happen overnight. It's a lifetime journey. And before we start to do the work, we need to understand that concept, because so many of us dive into the self-development work and then we shame ourselves when we're not where we want to be. Right. And so then it's like the adverse effect. It's like we're trying to get better, but then we feel guilty when we have a negative thought. Right. And we don't want that. Right. So the key is to practice self-awareness. And there's a number of little exercises that you can do. Something that I really like to do is, like, in your phone, putting a mark for every time that you have a thought that bothers you or that holds you back or that's on the negative sign. Just put a little mark in your phone. That's it. Okay. Practicing that self-awareness. And every time you have a positive thought or you react with a positive thought, erase the mark. Okay. Let's see how many times a day you have. Maybe the first day you have 3,000 marks. Okay. Then maybe the second day you have 100 less. And then within the week, you have 1,000 less, and you can start to manage and be aware of some of those thoughts that you're having. And the second one, which is really, really important, and I know that it sounds frou-frou sometimes, and, we talk about journaling and writing your thoughts out, but actually psychology and many researchers have shown that when you write down how you feel or what's happened in that day, then you can start to manage your emotions a little bit more and catch it before it happens, right? So it's the space between the thought and the reaction. It's like what happens in between there. So being able to go home and write down what happened today that you loved and what happened today that affected you and made you react or made you feel bad, where did you feel it? Why did you feel it?
Right.
What did it remind you of? And most importantly, why did it trigger you?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it bother you? And
Mm-hmm.
once you start to really build that self-awareness and that self-management, that's where the real work is done. And now everything, and that's not to say that you're never going to have a negative thought, but now you can catch those thoughts and you can catch some of those moments that bring you down and solve them. And that is the key, is being able to catch yourself where you can now solve it. The key isn't to say, I never want to have a negative thought again, or I'm never going to doubt myself again, or I'm never going to make a mistake. The key is to figure out when that does happen, how do I move out of it? Right. And that's the key and the most important part.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I love that idea of the self-awareness and the self-management thing. And that to me has been something that I'm constantly working sort of through and towards, and sometimes depending on the emotional level,
sure,
it's you kind of lose track of it sometimes when I'm not in a good place. But just recently I was with a friend of mine he's become a coach for Tony Robbins, part of Tony Robbins coaching program. And I was saying about how I'd gone to a Tony Robbins event last year and I didn't like it, and I sort of started talking about the reasons why I didn't like it. I had all these judgments, all these opinions. There was a few conversations we'd had, and he kind of just was questioning these beliefs that I had been holding on to for such an amount of time, and just made me realize that these strong opinions and judgments that I've been having are really holding me back. And I think of myself as quite a conscious, aware person.
Yeah.
And it just completely got lost on me that actually, no, there's still things that I cling on to that don't serve me, and making this judgment about, how it's all about money and sales and all these other things. And I was like, wow, I still have so much work to do in so many ways. And it's just about listening and questioning and just being prepared to catch yourself and go, why'd you think that? Yeah. Or what about this? And then put it in a different way. And I was like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great point. I don't know why I've been bitching about that for so long. So yeah, it was self-awareness. Could you tell us a little bit about the platform Rise Up For You and what it is that you do with that?
Yeah. So Rise Up For You, our mission is to change the world one woman at a time. And we do that through empowerment, education, and connectivity. Now, the reason why it's important is because self-empowerment is really, really pivotal in order to becoming what you want to be in your life. Becoming your best self is what we say. But empowerment only goes so far without education, which is where that second element came in, because you can only be empowered for so long, but if you don't have the tools and you don't have the strategies to implement what you want in anything in your life, whether it's a relationship, health and fitness, love, you need to be able to have those tools. And connectivity. I mean, there's so many of us that are unfortunately walking around by ourselves. We're constantly, on social media, which there's nothing wrong with that, but we do need to make the space where we can connect in live time, have these conversations where we're feeling each other's energy and connect on a deeper level, especially right now in society. There's so much going on and there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had in real live time in person. And so the main thing about Rise Up For You that's really pivotal and important is that we focus on the whole woman. So a lot of people will ask me, who does Rise Up For You serve? And my answer is all women. Oh, that's not possible. You need to have a niche. I'm like, it is possible. It's all women. I'm sure you've heard this before.
Because people say that with Uplifting Content, what's your audience? And I'm like, everyone. Because it's not even men and women. It's like everyone.
The whole world.
So I get it. Yeah.
So it's really about just empowering all women and men see it too, it's all of us are the same. We're all going through the same things. It doesn't matter what your economic status is. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what your education background is we all have heartache. We all struggle with self-doubt. We all struggle with maintaining our health, whether it's mental, physical, nutritional. We all have to build relationships in a community with one another. We all deal with money. These are human things. They're not limited to one type of race, one type of class. So I wanted to build a company where all women can be a part of it and access that information so that they can become their best self as a whole woman. And one of the things that's happened in the past 50 years, and much research can back this up, is that over the past 50 years, women have taken more seats in the boardroom, which is great. We have more CEOs, more executives that are coming into play as women. But the issue is that we haven't let go any of the responsibilities personally. We're still taking care of the home life. We still have our children. We still have to take care of ourselves. And unfortunately, we haven't found how to nurture both of them yet. So in the past 50 years, the happiness rate amongst women has actually declined drastically. And every year, more and more women, specifically in the United States of America, are becoming less and less happy. Even though we're becoming more successful professionally, personally, and in the inside, we're losing who we are. We're losing our happiness, our self-care, all those things that really nurture who you are as a woman. Right. The other thing that's really, really surprising is that in the past 5 years, the suicide rate amongst women has increased by 60%. Wow. And we're talking about women that are 40, 50, and 60. That's the main chunk of suicide rates that we're seeing. And that's why it's really important to focus on the whole person. And I know you get this. So it's not enough to just be very successful in your career. It's not enough to, you know, have all the money and to have the loving relationship. It's like, you really have to nurture your community. You have to have a solid tribe around you. You really have to understand your finances so that you're not stressed and then your health suffers. You really have to have solid self-esteem. You have to have something that drives you every morning professionally, like your purpose in life, what wakes you up in the morning. And you have to have love around you. And every single one of those things is what makes us our best self.
You're it's a Japanese word called ikigai, which is your reason for getting up in the morning, when your sort of passion and purpose and your gift to serve the world, and also, you know, make a living from. That's your bring all those together, and that's your kind of passion. I love that. So what about the Empowered Women Rise conference in November? What just happened? Are you still there?
We're there.
Is everyone there? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, I wanted to make sure that we had things that we can also do live in person.
Yes.
So obviously we have the online platform, and there's a ton of resources, podcasting, webinars that you can access, but it's really important to get into a space with a community of people and have the discussion, feed off of each other's energy, learn, connect. So one thing that we do every year is we have the huge Empower Women Rise conference, which you're speaking at, which I'm really excited for. And we invite, 150 women. They come in, we connect. This year, it's all about igniting the power within you and igniting the leader within. There are a ton of women and people out there that are doing incredible work, and they have knowledge that they can give to so many people, but they're not going for it.
Right.
They're not stepping into their full power. And
now, I know about that.
Yeah. And I'm saying that right now is a time where we need to be doing that, where we need to come together and we need to step into our full power, get our message out there, influence on the level that we want to influence, because I strongly believe that women can change this world. And that's our mission, change the world one woman at a time. So at this conference, we're bringing together influencers like yourself, where we can learn about how to truly step into our power, to be the leader that we want to be the influencer that we want to be, to own the confidence and the self-esteem within, so that we can make the impact that we're dreaming and that we're visioning of, and really understanding that without you, this world is completely different. If you don't exist, if you're not here, it's not the same world. And really having that understanding that even though you might feel like you're this little tiny peon, that you matter in this world and your message matters, and people are waiting to hear that message.
100%. And I'll be speaking about sort of my experience with that, and just how much of an impact we can make by sharing our truths, sharing our story, and a lot of the time sharing the things that we struggle with. Like, once you've taken that thing, your either trauma or struggle or something, and processed it and turned it around, you could use it to really impact and benefit other people. And for me, that's sort of dealing with just crippling depression and just low self-esteem, which I know a lot of other people deal with. So talking about how to make an impact and spark change, and just getting up and doing that, which
absolutely
need to do more often.
Absolutely. And like I said, now more than ever, the conversation is happening, and the thing that's really important to understand is, yes, we're a company that empowers women, but we don't seclude men. Because if we want the world to change and we want to see the difference happening, we have to include men. We work together.
Totally.
I don't know one man that doesn't have a woman in their life.
Right.
And vice versa. So it's really a conversation that needs to happen together.
Agreed. I'm going to put it in the show notes, but we have a 15% discount code for the Empowered Women Rise conference. I think it's EWR Uplift. Okay, just said that, but I'll also write it down. Nada, this has been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? Where is it?
Yeah, so it's super simple. If you guys head over to riseup4you.com, completely spelled out, and you can find everything there. And our social media, it's Rise Up For You. Everything's very consistent and the same. So we hope to see you.
Yes, see you on the 3rd of November, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.